You know the verses. You quote the wisdom. But your wallet keeps exposing what your discipline hides. Because let's be honest, most people don't stay broke for lack of faith. They stay broke for lack of order. They pray for abundance while living in chaos. They ask for harvests, but never plant seeds. And then they call it God's timing. What if I told you that He already blessed you, but you're mismanaging the blessing? That your prayers aren't being ignored, they're being wasted. This isn't about religion. It's about the one truth the spiritual world and the financial world share. God doesn't multiply what you neglect. Stay, because once you understand this, your next prayer will sound very different. You've heard people say, God will provide, and He does, but not for chaos. See, wisdom without structure is like water poured into sand. No matter how much truth you know, it disappears before it becomes wealth. That's why so many people can quote scripture about abundance, but still panic every end of the month. They think they're being tested, but in reality, they're being exposed. Because spiritual intelligence doesn't pay bills, discipline does. And the cruel irony is this: the wiser you get, the more frustrated you become when your results don't match your revelation. You start praying harder, fasting longer, waiting for signs, when all heaven is waiting for is a budget, a plan, and consistency. The devil doesn't need to steal your money if he can steal your focus. And most people don't lose wealth to demons. They lose it to distraction. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll see how the same wisdom that was meant to make you free became the very reason you're still broke. Let's be brutally honest. You didn't lose money because God forgot you. You lost it because you keep praying for a harvest while leaving the soil dry. You ask for financial miracles, but refuse to master the boring part: tracking, saving, planning. You keep calling it faith, but what you're practicing is fantasy. Faith doesn't cancel responsibility. It magnifies it. There's a dangerous illusion spreading in the spiritual world that belief replaces behavior. It doesn't. Even divine favor needs structure to flow. That's why blessings keep leaking through your hands. God isn't testing your patience. He's testing your management. And until you prove that you can handle what you already have, He'll never give you more. Because heaven doesn't waste abundance on undisciplined souls. It protects it. You've probably said it before. Maybe God doesn't want me to be rich. Oh, but what if that's not true? What if He's been trying to bless you, and you've been rejecting it? Because blessings don't always look like miracles. Sometimes they look like opportunities disguised as responsibility. A door opens, but you call it too much work. A new idea comes, but you say, now isn't the right time. You see, divine favor isn't the problem. Your pattern is. You keep asking for growth while protecting your comfort. You pray for abundance, but stay loyal to habits that repel it. And that's the secret most believers never face. God can't promote who refuses process. He can't multiply what you never sow. Heaven doesn't withhold. It waits. It waits for you to prove that your spirit can handle what your mouth keeps asking for. Here's the harsh truth. Prayer without order becomes noise. Heaven doesn't respond to chaos. It waits for structure. You can cry, fast, and quote every verse on abundance. But if your life looks like financial confusion, all those words hit the ceiling and fall back on you. That's why so many people feel abandoned when, in reality, they're just disorganized. They confuse emotion with alignment. They mistake intensity for obedience. Because God's system is mathematical, not mystical. He doesn't multiply what isn't first divided correctly. He doesn't bless what you refuse to manage. You keep saying, I'm waiting for a miracle. But maybe the miracle's been waiting for you to open a notebook, track your habits, and start honoring what you already have. The difference between favor and frustration is not luck, it's discipline. And until you learn to handle the natural, you'll never receive the supernatural. Here's where most people miss the point. They think faith is about waiting for divine timing, when in truth, it's about proving readiness. Every blessing you pray for is looking for a system to land on. If you're not prepared to receive, heaven reroutes it. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're unready. Think about it. Would you pour clean water into a cracked vessel? That's what you do every time you ask for abundance while refusing to repair your habits. You leak blessings faster than you receive them. Money isn't spiritual or evil. It's obedient. It goes where there's order, purpose, and attention. And if your finances are chaotic, it won't stay. Maybe that's why you keep starting over. Every raise disappears. Every new opportunity fades. Because you keep calling it a test when it's actually a cycle. Cycles end the moment you stop blaming delay on heaven and start asking yourself, what system in me keeps sabotaging the blessing? That's where faith turns into power. Prosperity isn't a gift that falls from the sky. It's proof that you've learned divine management. Because God never gives you what you ask for. He gives you what you can sustain. You keep asking for more, but heaven keeps sending tests. And you call them setbacks, when they're actually audits. Every delay, every closed door, every unexpected expense, it's an exam in disguise. He's not punishing you. He's checking if you're ready to handle multiplication without losing yourself. You see, most people don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they treat abundance like emotion. They rise fast, then collapse faster. They think faith is momentum, not maintenance. But the true secret of wealth, both divine and material, is rhythm. Structure that doesn't collapse when blessings arrive. Consistency that doesn't vanish when things get easy. Because the higher you go, the more discipline becomes your oxygen. And that's where heaven decides. Do you just want miracles? Or are you ready to manage them? Here's the paradox nobody preaches about. You can quote scripture, understand divine law, and still live broke. Not because you're cursed, but because you keep separating spiritual order from financial order. The same God who said, "Let there be light," didn't speak until the void was ready to receive light. Creation itself followed structure before abundance arrived. So, why would your life be any different? You can't attract wealth while living in contradiction. You can't pray for provision with your mouth and reject discipline with your actions. Faith is not emotion, it's execution. And here's the most painful truth. God will never give you what would expose your lack of structure. That's why He delays blessings you think you deserve. Because premature abundance destroys the unprepared. Every no you've received was really mercy. Every delay was protection. Because abundance without order becomes addiction. And blessings without stewardship become burdens. And now, here's the final truth nobody tells you. God doesn't bless potential. He blesses preparation. You can cry, pray, or fast for change. But until your habits align with the promise, you'll keep mistaking divine silence for rejection. The miracle doesn't show up to rescue you. It shows up to confirm that you finally became the person who can hold it. Because when discipline replaces desperation, when your calendar honors your calling, when your spending reflects your priorities, that's when heaven whispers, "Now you're ready." So maybe the delay wasn't punishment. Maybe it was training. Because the blessing you're asking for has always been waiting. Not for your prayer, but for your maturity. And when that alignment happens, mind, money, and mission, you won't have to chase blessings anymore. They'll recognize your structure and find their way home. End scene. Money traps exposed.